You understand? So examination must not necessarily be to eliminate people. Now, go and check the statistics. Those who write BEC exams, on the average, they are 14 years. They are 14 years. And you want to determine if that person will pursue, formal education or not, based on a 2 hours paper. How does it work? Now, what we are succeeded in doing in this country is that we are creating a class society whose son or child must attend the best of schools, in quotes, and whose child must go to the poor schools. And so when you are posting students, the very best, they are grade 6, must go to particular schools. And those who don't perform well must go to other schools, whose child must go there. And so as a parent or as a teacher, I must also do everything possible for my child to go to those best schools. Are you getting the point I'm making? Yeah. And so it's a deliberate subculture we have introduced that is swallowing us up. Now, as you rightly said in your introduction, the private schools must survive. It's a business entity. And their scorecard is a performance and examination. What will motivate parents to bring their kids to your school or the other school is a performance. Either two, parents will come into a school and look at, one, the setup, the environment. They will look at the security. They will look at co-curricular activities like sports, like culture, and all those things. So that the child go to school is not only going to learn the ABCD or the 1+2, but the co-curricular activity that will even define his career path as he moves on. Gradually, we are moving away from those things. How often do we even engage in co-curricular activity in our school? So a child gets to a school, all he's thinking is how he can pass the examination. And so right from first year, people are looking for past questions. People are preparing for examination. So we are becoming a society that is chaining out people who can chew and pour. Is the best person. But when practically you subject him to analyzing things and doing things and helping society to move forward, then it becomes a problem. I am saying that the time has come for us to put the brakes. We can all pretend about it. We can lie about it. We can say whatever we want to say about it. All of us have gone to school, right from the primary school, all through GSS, through the secondary school, to the university. And we all know the things that happens in our schools. We cannot play the ostrich. Let the man who sits at WAEC today, who is cancelling examination, tells me that in days in school, he was not involved in these activities. Let the lawyer, let the doctor, let the engineer, our society, we all know the things that goes on in our schools. Who do we celebrate? It's a student who has come out with the best of grades. Yeah. And if you come out and you're even an average student, they look at you as scorn. You are not intelligent, you are not smart. Nobody wants to accept you. And so everybody must be the best. Because that is what the society embraces, what the society celebrates. And so whatever means people might use to be the best, they want to use it. I am a teacher, I was a teacher. I remember those days I was teaching a class. And I've cited this example several times, but it's for GSS Mamprobi. My school prefect, I remember one of the years, I think they're about 2019, I'm not too sure. Ebenezer Mason, I still remember him. Very smart boy. He was a school prefect then. And at the time, I was teaching other students in their homes, Kolebu, some doctor students, and all that. They were in private schools. When they wrote the BEC exams, this my school prefect that I know very well, I think got about grade 9. He came to me crying. I said, my brother, go to secondary school. You go and meet the best students, and then we'll see who indeed is the better student. Yeah. And I said, to the glory of God, he went to UPS eventually, and he set a record, became the overall best student, secondary school, and he was even teaching some of these students. And so for me, students and those who child psychology will tell you, people pick at different levels. Yeah. We all don't pick at the same time, especially depending upon our backgrounds and where we are coming from. And so somebody may pick at primary school, somebody will pick at GSS, somebody will pick at SS. You understand? I am sad and worried when a young boy who is 14 years goes to write examination, the results are out, and then you are told that your papers have been cancelled. They've held your results. Psychologically, what are you doing to that young child? Have you thought about it? The repercussion? You understand? Oftentimes, The accusation for which you are canceling the exams and the rest are not even coming from the child. The child may be ignorant. Or the child might have found himself in a web. You know, it's in the classroom, other people are doing things, and then before you say, Jack, they code off the whole place, and you are part of it. And then your papers are cancelled. The trauma they go through, and all that. And so we need to go back, our educationists, let's go back to the drawing table. The people who manage WAEC and everybody else, what do we do? Our teachers, supervisors, I insist that this system of examination to determine how we progress, we need to look at it. Not too long ago in this country, we all debated and made the case that first terminating point at GSS 3 was not good enough. And that if we can move the terminating point to SS 3, it will help us so that your first major examination to be at SS 3. At this point, when you come out, either you are moving to the tertiary level or you are going to learn a trade. A child who complete GSS, if you are not able to pass your exams, you are not even of age to go and learn an apprenticeship. Do you understand the point I'm making? You can't continue to the secondary school level. So what becomes of that child? It should remain in the house for the next 4 or 5 years before you either go and learn a trade. I think we are getting something wrong. We need to get back and then restructure and put this whole thing well. And stop this joke and all this we are making. Come and put slides on the table. We have cancelled exams. We are holding results. Whose fault is it? It's a creation of the society and the nation. It's a creation of the society. What do we do to support the private schools? How must they survive? If you have spent your money to put up a whole school and then you are running a school and you have 10 students, how do you pay the teachers? And so they must do everything possible. Who says the question? Now, the last one before my colleagues come in. Which type of system is this? That somebody writes, what do they call it, the curricula that they use for the examination, the syllabus and everything. Somebody else writes a textbook that you learn. Somebody else teaches you. Somebody else says the examination. Somebody else now marks the paper. So a child who is in Achimota school, maybe in Accra, or somebody who is schooling in Accra, and somebody who is schooling in my village, Akwa Domin GSS, where I visited the school not too long ago. From class 1 to GSS 3, there are only 4 trained teachers. And this child is supposed to compete with children in Accra, in Kumasi, and the rest. For no fault of his. In one of the schools recently, I have to go and even buy textbooks that teachers can use as reference materials for them. And so they might have not have studied some of the topics. There are no teachers to guide them. They go and write the same examination. What becomes of their fate? As far as educational pursuit in this country is concerned. And so for me, we need to look at this issue, dispassionately. Let's get back. What do we do? The whole essence of the GSS concept that was introduced there about 1988, of course, the first that started from 1975 under the Jobo Committee that was set up by Chiapon. Then later we decided to do the wholesale GSS system. It should take out some of these things. So courses like cultural science was introduced then, technical skills, technical drawing, vocational skills, life skills, so that hands-on skills, practical learning. So people come out for school. If they are not able to go to the secondary school, they can veer to vocational school, technical school, and they can develop skills and set up their own business and run their own businesses. What are we doing today? What are we doing today? And so for me, this cancellation of papers at this level, it doesn't make sense to me. Holding back the results of 14 years, 13 and a half years children at this age, it doesn't make sense to me. You cannot punish students when maybe their teachers are the ones who are culpable. They are the ones who were engaged in this test because they want their school to be well positioned. Then innocent child is punished for it. I think we need to look at it well.
Let me come to Doc now, and there's a part of the point that Honorable makes about the possibility of a cumulative assessment system as against a one-off exams, which increases the stake. I have a nephew who took part in a BEC. I saw his results. I think he had about aggregate 9. I wasn't particularly too impressed. And I'm saying that because I have seen his results from as far back as class 1. I mean, he gives me his results every term. And he's always in first three, all through. And he's always 90s. And I put this by the results where he gets 2, he gets 3, he gets 2, he gets 3. And I'm looking at it. And I can see that one of paper that he wrote cannot be a reflection of the performance that he has put up over a long period of time. I mean, we must at some point have the honest and tough conversation about whether what we are doing in its current form is making any sense or we are making any headways towards what we want to do.
Joseph, let me first and foremost say good morning to your good self and Dr. Josiah and my colleague Honorable from Guam constituency. Let me also say good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers. Indeed, the one exam decides all's future approach by our educational system is quite worrying, because if you set an exam, and as Honorable said, and the future of the student is decided by that 2-hour period he sits on that exam, I don't think that it is enough to assess indeed the competence of the student in question. I believe that going forward, we need to really take up certain reforms in our educational system. I mean, Joseph, we're talking about exam, but the roots, the fundamental issues are still there, clear on our eyes. That today we have over 5,000 schools under trees. I'm sure you know that. And the Africa Educational Watch has brought up a report that says that it will take us over 300 years to be able to eradicate schools under trees. That is even a worrying phenomenon in the first place. If we want to really tackle education, we need to tackle it from the foundation, the root causes. Now we come to our curriculum, right? I happen to do the Cambridge system.
Okay.
So I didn't go through the BEC, WASI system. And you know that there's a great disparity between those trained under the Cambridge system and then those trained under WASI. Cambridge system emphasizes on critical thinking. The questions they put before you are not direct. You have to apply what you've learnt. Now, if you compare that to the WASI and then the BEC, you don't realize that it's just a system that enhances or supports the system of chewing and pouring. It tests your memory capacity, but not your mental acumen in the first place. So I believe that going forward, legislators and all the technocrats within the Ghana Educational Service and other CSOs who are tailored towards helping support our educational system and political actors should sit down on a round table and see how best we can be able to formulate a curriculum that would support our long-term goal of enhancing economic and social development in Ghana. I mean, the assessment Honorable was talking about, I think that it should be the way forward. That at least if you are a child who goes through GSS 1 to GSS 3, right, your final exam should be only 50% of your total assessment. But then there should be a continuous assessment from GSS 1 to GSS 3. And then there will be a grading. In the master's program, you know, we have internal assessments, right, which is part of your grading system. So if we're able to also inculcate that into the GSS system, I think that will go a long way to supporting our children in how they can be able to get into the work of life, right? And also eradicate that competitive nature to force students to cheat. Then we come to the schools and then the teachers and then the invigilators. I think that this is business as usual. It's a bragging right that schools, especially the private schools, will put it out there that our schools are performing well, or our school has performed well in this exam, and that they are marketable in the educational market. And I believe that the WAEC has to come out with punitive measures to sanction schools like that. Another thing is to do with the invigilators. How much are they being paid in the first place? You see, if one would act or think about acting corrupt, there is a vacuum, there is a gap, there is a problem as to why one would act corruptly. Right? We need to realize that these invigilators that are paid mere peanuts are human beings like us. If you pay somebody 12 cedis per what? How much are they? 100
14 cedis.
14 cedis per paper. I mean, what in today's Ghana, what will 14 cedis do to you, Joseph? How much is even a bottle of water? Do you get it? So if the person should take 3 bottles of water in a day, that's about 9 cedis. So it's not enough, right? We need to be realistic in also their remuneration.
And you see, Doc, because you made reference to the Cambridge system, interestingly, yesterday I put out a post on Facebook, and I was asking the question about the fact that I know a lot of average earners who spend millions for their children to receive the A-level education here in Ghana. In fact, yesterday I was with one of such colleagues, and he was telling me about the course content, some of the things that they are learning. I mean, they are learning geopolitics, they are learning psychology, they are doing sociology, they are doing critical thinking. These are things that I was introduced to at the university level.
That's right.
They are doing it at the A-level at this point in time.
Right.
And he was making a point that, I mean, the fees are so much, but he cannot just allow the children to go over into the system that we currently have. And we know a lot of big people who are basically, they've abandoned our current system.
That's right.
And the ordinary people are at the mercy
That's right.
of those systems. I mean,
the implementation of our current system is so poor. So poor.
So it's a part of the aspect that maybe there are good examples in terms of the content and what is being done that we can borrow from right here in Ghana.
I mean, it's simple. We just have to copy the model and implement it. It's simple. Copy and paste. Honorable. It's a very simple. He's an educationist. It's a very simple thing. We can take our Ghana Educational Service out to the UK to study their models, right? And then come and implement it here. And I believe that if we also strengthen our TVET system and change the mindset of our people, because we are believed to think that anybody that doesn't get good grades should go to vocational training school. But in natural fact, Joseph, if you go to other countries like the UK or Australia, people who are involved in these trades, plumbing, carpentry works and all that, are very affluent. They get a decent earning. Do you get it? And I mean, what is it about, who is intelligent and who is not intelligent and who should go here and who should go here? In China like this, they have different grades of medical school. They have A, B, up to C. In today's Ghana, if you get a B in one of your courses or maybe a C, maybe in English, you will not be allowed to go to medical school.
Yeah.
But the sciences, you've gotten all A's. So it's an issue. It's an issue, and I think that is the way we think as a society. And I believe that if we want to reorient our mindset, I believe it starts from our educational system. And let me say this, that there's a huge mismatch between academic curriculum and then the job market in Ghana currently. People go and study things, and when they finish, they either turn into Uber drivers or they sit in front of a corporate body as receptionists. And these are master's degree holders in the first place. So I believe that the leaders who are manning our educational affairs in this country have to go back to the drawing table and ensure that our curriculum matches the teaching needs or the vision of Ghana, where Ghana wants to get to, according to the plan set by the National Development Planning Commission, right? That we want to be an affluent society in the next 30 or 40 years, or we want to be highly industrialized. Then we have to then ensure that there's a holistic approach and a collective approach by all stakeholders, especially our educational sector, to be able to meet the demands of our nation. In this sense, it would enhance adequate economic and social development. And you know that the movement for change, under the aegis of our great transformational plan, we are proposing that, Joseph, after you finish your WASI examination, you go through a 1-year compulsory apprenticeship program. That way, it prepares you mentally for the work ahead of you or the work of life. And I believe that it would also instill some form of responsibility and discipline in our young people coming up so that we can be able to shape in the future of our country and our young leaders.
Okay. And let me come to Doc now. And Doc, there's something that came up during a chat with Honorable about the conduct of the exam body and the penchant for wanting to withhold, cancel. I mean, one of the cases that we all taught in school was Awuni versus WAEC, about how they had withheld students' papers. Professor Tuguba and Dr. Abdul Basit Bamba fought it all over to the Supreme Court, saying that, well, you should have given the students a hearing. Even quite recently, not too long ago, there was a similar court order. I mean, but yet still we see the exam body do the same thing. I mean, they mark the papers and they just decide that, well, a number of them we are withholding. They would have done some investigations, but 9 out of 10, when you find out, they would not have engaged the students. That cannot continue to be the means. And some of the students, very soon, their colleagues will be going to the senior high schools. They will now be fighting and trying to understand why their papers have even been withheld in the first place.
Joseph, let me say good morning to the listeners, and good morning to my people in Commander and Secondary. Joseph, you know, I went to law school in the United States. We took exams. There were no invigilators. You pick up your paper, you find a classroom, empty classroom, you know when to return it, you go sit and finish it and bring it back. I have been told, I was told yesterday by someone reliably informed, that Ashesi University has this honor system.
Yes.
I was so surprised when I came back to Ghana and I went to Makola to take the Ghana bar, and I realized that sometimes you even have police.
Why?
There is something wrong, you know, because what is all this education about? We are educating students for life, not to pass exams.
Oh.
But slowly, that is what it has become. When you have parents, you're chatting with parents and they brag forever about how many wants. Okay? Meanwhile, you go to their homes and you open the bedroom door of this student who's getting wants. It's like, as we say in our local language, like bola.
Very valid point.
So we are really educating. Are we really educating our youth, or we're just giving them skills to pass exams? Let me tell you a story. A lady that I know came to ask me long ago if I could go with her to one of those exam gurus. This is those people who prepare the exams for the WAEC, because she had information that you could see them and you will get some questions and prepare your child, and it is happening. I said, why would you do that? First of all, what do you think of me? That you want me to go with you to say, you know, people are doing it. And I'm told, yes, it's happening. Exam, people who are involved in, you know, setting the questions and the rest, compromise themselves and all that. The fact of the matter is that we need to educate our students for life, which means that our curriculum should emphasize things like critical thinking, conflict resolution, emotional intelligence, all those things that come together, collaboration, teamwork, all those things that come together to make us good citizens, productive citizens who move our country forward. I don't think we are doing it now. I also think that the answers are not far away. There are countries that are doing very well, have improved their educational system. My brother mentioned how Britain has really, over the years, remodeled their examination system. Finland, you know, the Nordic countries are doing a great job with, you know, China. And so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We need to do something about it. I think WAEC is probably probably outmoded now, and we should move forward, and we should do something else. Joseph, so we need to look at this kind of exam that emphasizes memorization and recollection.
I mean, one of the toughest exams I've ever written was an open book exam.
Yes.
We are allowed to
The
bring
textbook is
our
there.
law report and everything inside, and we're given the questions. And for 40 minutes, I just didn't know where to begin. because for once, you are not trying to remember and put it down. You have to make sense of the problem that you had and try to approach it and solve it. And that will not come by memorizing.
I have, for my own class, I put 5 students or 6 students together, and we do an oral exam. Give them one question, and you go around the room, and each of them answers the question, and see who will pick up from what the other one said, and what do you add to it. At the end of the day, I can grade you adequately, because I was trained to be a teacher, a university teacher outside of this jurisdiction, and I was teaching adult students, there are issues of experiential learning, all kinds of things that are happening out there that we are missing simply because we are bonded to this WAEC system and this once. But there are a few things that I also want to point out, Joseph. One of the reasons why we have this very competitive do or die system is access to tertiary education. And not only that, access to certain professional training streams like medical education and legal education. For the life of me, we have so-called art students who leave these shores, go to Cuba, and come back as doctors.
That's right.
I think we need to look at, I know my friends who are doctors will
come for you.
We really need to look at whether what we call medical education here in Ghana is fit for purpose.
Now it's a joke.
We're spending a lot of money on medical schools, and I don't think we are producing enough doctors. I have taken some time with some friends to look at how Cuba produces doctors. I think we should look at it.
And they come here to come and say.
Yes, we should. And you need teaching hospitals. There are countries where doctors are being produced without the University of Ghana Medical Center type facilities. So I think we should look at it.
Polyclinics.
Legal education, you know what is happening right now. My daughter finished LLB.
Okay.
She did very well. Now, just after finishing, she's in fact studying more than she did for the LLB.
Yeah.
For what? For entrance.
To take a single paper where she has to answer
into
for 6 questions
Why
that
do we
covers
do this?
all
Why do
forms
we
of
do
areas.
this?
Why is there about this nonsense?
So this exam-driven life, where you want to get ones, very soon we'll be grading ourselves in how, as husbands and wives, we get 1 or 2. We like grades and distinction, 1, 2. And no wonder we are so title-driven. Doctor so-and-so, professor this. We are so, as if our whole life is a competition for grades. We need to do something about it. Access to professions. Because you see, a lot of us, you don't know, but people don't want to go to the university and be offered archaeology There's nothing wrong with archaeology, you know, because if we have a good economy, archaeologists will do well within the economy, you know. But in a system where a professional education like medicine and law and engineering are highly subscribed to, we need to do something about access. And that means that we should open more universities. We should allow the standards. You know, you don't need 6 once to become a doctor.
That's right.
Okay. Continuous assessment. You know, my colleagues have talked about it. How can you sit? You know, when I went to Legon those days, you go 3 terms, and at the end of the year, you take 1 exam to justify, you know, what you have done, to show what you have done over the year, and to justify inclusion for the next year, whether you will come back. No. I think now they are doing continuous.
No, our time is changed. It's changed completely.
They are doing continuous.
We do an interim assessment midway that forms 30%. Then the main exam is 70%. But the exam is just for that particular semester. And so whatever you get is put down. The second semester is added again. Then you just continue
why can't we do this for the BSc students? Why do we have to put them through, you know, and just, we've already talked about the number of courses they take. Why? You know, I think when I was in primary school, and I think we did math, English, you know, I don't even know whether we did science, and then civics. You have secondary school students spitting all over the place. They're crossing the road and trying to stop you, the vehicle, because, you know, we are not training our children to be citizens.
Okay.
We are training them to pass exams, and that is bad. I think WAEC should reform itself, and as I said, the examples are out there, and they have the experts, you know. Then I want to make one last point.
Okay.
It's the elitism that has creeped into our educational system. You know, people like me, we've abandoned the so-called Saito system. You know, when I tell people that I am a product of Well Road Methodist Primary School and Keten Methodist Middle School in Zegendi. And I went from there to Mfanspim School. Okay? And from there, I became the senior prefect at Mfanspim. You know, we have abandoned the system. In those days, top civil servants, their children sat with the children of their drivers in school. Now we have abandoned this system, and then at the end of the day, we expect those students to pass the same exams as our children who are going to the top secondary schools and sometimes on protocol. So we really need to do something about this system. The educational system needs an overhaul. And then I think, you know, we have difficulties talking about that because people are suspicious when politicians get involved. But I think that there is enough evidence that we need to do something about this system.
Okay, Doc, I'll come to you, but let me come to Honorable. And I mean, government obviously must provide some answers. And government actually agrees that the education system is outdated. In fact, the president, when he took office during the National Education Forum, he stated that we recognize that the education system we inherited has not kept pace with the needs of the 21st century society and the fourth industrial revolution. As the world evolves, so must our education system. What worked in the past no longer suffices for the challenges and opportunities of today and tomorrow. This realization has brought us together today we are united in our belief that education reform is not an option, but a necessity. I mean,
you see, WAEC is outmoded. We need to scrap it. That's my first. We need to scrap WAEC completely. When you go to the university level, the same lecturer who teaches you, he says the questions. On the day of the examination, he brings the papers to the exams room, administers the question papers. When you finish, takes everything away. So you hardly will hear of exam paper leakage ahead of examination. What people will do, maybe at the university level, to send foreign materials to examination room.
Yeah.
But the paper leaking ahead of it, because the thing is kept the lecturer. So if it leaks, the university authority will hold the lecturer responsible. But this WAEC that is screaming and shouting and blaming everybody. Who says the question? Are they not the people who keep custody of the question papers? Are they not the people who select the people who answer the question? We are told that for maybe one mathematics paper, they will select about 6 people to say the questions. So this person will say, this person will say. Then they will determine the one that eventually they want to use in the examination. I think that people at Ghana Education Service and Ministry of Education, the policy makers, the time has come for us to go back. Those that want to finish O-level and they are going to the university, they enter university with only 3 papers. General paper, and then 2 other papers. So majority of the professors we are seeing around town, big people we are seeing around town, that's how they entered the university. Today, what is the situation? What is the situation? It's as if examination now is meant to just eliminate people because we are refusing to create access. Like Dr. rightly asked, go and check in the days of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The people he took to Russia and let's go and study medicine. They are not people who were academically like first class students or anything. It's about interest. Because medicine, they'll tell you, it's more of a practical, something apprentice studies than more of, critical thinking. And yet today, to become a medical doctor, you must have the best of grades. Are you doing physics? What is it? Look at the law school that we are talking about every now and then. So University of Ghana Law School until recently can train students to do LLB. The state university that is producing engineers and the rest doesn't have the capacity to train 1 or 2 years professional law. That there is something, an institution called Mokola, that you must necessarily go to Mokola before you become a lawyer. What is the meaning of all this we are doing to ourselves? What is the meaning of these things? I don't think that examination is meant to eliminate people. Or that we should use examination to create a class society. No. We must, you see, if you go back and check the history of the GSS concept that was introduced, as I was alluding to earlier, the framers of the policy had very good intention. But the implementation is poor. When the program generally was introduced, we used to have experimental GSS, as I said, from the 1975 thereabout. Then I think it was 1987, 88, that we decided to do the wholesale GSS system. When the new subjects were introduced, back then in EPGSS, we had a school farm. Every student was entitled to a bed. You are taught to plant one plant or one crop or one whatever at a particular point in time. And so when I go back to the exams room and they ask me to write what is mulching, I am not going to memorize anything in my mind because I've done mulching on the field. And so I'm going to describe what I did on the field. So even when I'm sleeping and you come and wake me up from bed and say, Fred, what is mulching, what is taking, what is all those things that we learn? The thing is at your fingers because you have done it practically. Now, by the time I finished, through secondary school, went to college and went back to teach. Now you have to be sketching most of these things if you're on chalkboard. We did block laying. So at that level, I learned how to lay block, how to do plastering, how to do all those things. I have a friend I've been mentioning today, is a policeman. The sewing that they did at GSS, till date is a policeman, is he sewing? Is he sewing to get additional income? And so the whole idea of this GSS concept was to bring, practical skills that you can under develop and then you can build your career along with. Not this theoretical thing that we are doing.
Okay.
Go and memorize, go and sit down. You see students like those, they go and put your feet in water and then you are drinking coffee, you are drinking energy drink. What are you doing? Where are we going? Where? To go and write examination? Like you read the last one. See, people go and sit in libraries and write exams. Even at the university level, when COVID came, Ghana, you are very funny people. A few years ago, when you do online PhD, Nobody wants to recognize or accept you in this country.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
A few lecturers even at UPSA had a problem with it, that their PhD was not a taught one, they did it online, blah, blah. When COVID came, even primary school students started doing online classes.
Yeah.
Now we have accepted it. I am still at the university level. The time has come for us to move from even this whole, feast in a classroom examination to writing of 10 papers. You have taught the person, set up a practical question, let the student take 2, 3, 4 days, 1 week, go and sit in a library and produce a paper, solve a problem. The reason why most of our research documents are on what we call shelves and they are not doing anything. If you can have a situation where we look at university to commerce out there. So for instance, I want to do a research in my PhD area. I can go to maybe BOST and go and ask you, what are the challenging areas that you have? Then we agree, okay, I'm picking a topic from that area. Boss can even sponsor me. Now go out there and do your research. When you finish, you give the document to boss. Now they will implement it. So the nation benefits. All our problems that we have as a society, go back to our university chefs and see. The proposal that students have made, people have written from first degree to master's to PhD, they are all lying there and rotting away. Today, if you go to, what's the name? Japan and the rest, every child, at least 1 hour, 2 hours, they'll move them from the classroom. And they are just moving in the environment. They are picking insects. They are picking living things. They are putting them under microscope. They are saying, people are doing critical thinking. People are not chewing and pouring. Okay. And people are not sitting somewhere and canceling papers and holding results back and applauding themselves that they are doing a good job. It's a failure.
Okay. Doc, I'll give you the final word on
Joseph,
this.
I believe that from where we are now as a country, and the proposal that we have as members of the Movement for Change is that, number one, in the short term, I believe that the WAEC examining body should have some innovative ways of setting its questions and have a huge question bank. And in this regards, every district which is writing an exam, every school within every district of Ghana which is writing the BEC or WASI exam should have a set of questions.
Okay.
So the questions should vary from district to district. That would make cheating very difficult, right? Because then you realize that if I'm writing in Accra and somebody is writing in Kumasi, we are not writing the same paper, but even though the standard is the same. Secondly, as well, in the long term, we're looking at a global village now where a lot of serious countries are transitioning into the fourth industrial revolution. I believe that the time has come for us to even abolish the pen and paper mode of examination in our basic and even junior high school. Let us inculcate what we call the computer-based assessment, where students will go on a computer and have their examinations, right? I'm sure if you look at the likes of the US, Finland, as Doc mentioned, and even China, these are the models in which some of their students go through the examining process. So I believe that if we're able to do that long and then short-term measures, I believe we can be able to mitigate these issues that we are talking about.
All right. Thank you very much there. Lots of comments have come through. I mean, this education is always a passionate conversation for all of us. One message here, you said that the problem of examination malpractice is squarely blamable on WAEC. The questions are set by their own examiners, typed under the supervision of WAEC, conveyed by WAEC officials and locked at various police stations in the various districts. These papers are moved to the schools under police escort. So at what point does a leakage happen? Please, WAEC, wise up. Another one here from Prince Nana York. You say great submissions this morning, but your worry is that the implementation is always a big problem, and you expect some implementation to take place there. And so that is it by way of the first part of the conversation. Just by way of an update, and that will be what we'll be wrapping up this segment with. Yesterday, there was a statement that came from the Ministry of Defense. It's actually signed by the Finance Minister, who, as you are aware, is also the Acting Minister of Defense. And he, the statement was titled Z9 Helicopter Crash Investigation Board Commences Work. And it reads that the Ministry of Defense hereby informs the public that the investigation board established to inquire into the recent Z9 helicopter crash has formally commenced its work. The board is chaired by the National Security Coordinator with membership drawn from the Ghana Air Force and the Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. The United States of America is providing advice and assistance to the board through visiting investigators from the U.S. Air Force. And the board may also invite other relevant experts and institutions, both local and international, to assist with the investigation. It will be recalled that on the day of the incident, 6th August 2025, a preliminary investigation team was constituted to gather all available evidence relating to the crash in support of the board's work. The preliminary investigation team is scheduled to submit its report to the board today, that was yesterday. Then the investigation board has been mandated to complete its work within 30 days. And so that is the update that we got from government there with regards to that particular process that is taking place over there. I want us to hear the views of an expert, Professor Kwesi Ajekum, who is an aviation accident investigator and lecturer aviation aerospace sciences at the University of North Dakota. He's been sharing his views on what he makes on this update that has come from the Ministry of Defense and government, for that matter.
They will look at, like I stated earlier, the physiological and psychological state of the crew. They will look at Ghana Air Force, our standards, our levels of compliance, and just make sure that they've assembled all this data, because we have organizational influence. We'll look at levels of supervision, preconditions for the flight. If there were some unsafe things, we call it unsafe actions. So things related to training, equipment, was it appropriate for the flight? And then, of course, we'll zone in on the operators themselves. What was the state of mind? And that normally comes by looking at things like fatigue. And so the amount of data that has to be collected by accident investigators, which will be handed over to what we call a board of inquiry. And they will look at all the data, and based on that, the findings will determine the causal and contributory factors. I cannot make a prediction as to whether it will be done in 30 days or in 2 weeks or maybe in 4 months. It's a process that is ongoing, but hopefully, since we are tied almost to an extent, I am, in my opinion, envisaging that within a year's time, we should be able to almost zone in on most probable causal and contributory factors.
Within a year, all things being equal?
All things being equal, crossing my hand, hopefully we should be able to get this wrapped up. I know everybody, we want answers now and now and now. But unfortunately, investigators, I get it, the emotions, the anxiety. But one characteristic of every good investigator is that we try to filter out the noise, and then we look at the body of evidence, the corpus of evidence, and then we sift through. And also what we have available to us. The good thing is that the flight data recorder was retrieved from the site. That is just one part of the investigation. Sometimes people get it's conflated. Oh, we have the flight data recorder, so everything is, we are done. No, the flight data recorder only allows us to probe the various flight parameters that the aircraft was able to get at, the altitude, the speed, the location, the engine parameters, the cockpit voice, and in fact, for most standard flight data recorders, they're able to give us about 88 parameters. Okay, so geographical point, the last known point, everything will be captured. Cockpit voice recorder will give us an idea about the information flow on the flight deck, and if there were any alerts on the flight deck, if there were any acoustic patterns within the flight deck area. We will try to match all this together.
That's Professor Ajekum there. He's an aviation expert there, sharing his views on the updates that came from government. I mean, earlier we had heard from the Chief of Defense Staff a couple of weeks back. He had said that the investigation was ongoing and that they were expected to give us some periodic updates. It does appear from the latest statement that that particular body did preparatory works, and now the board is now taking over fully to do the investigation within that 30-day period with assistance from the United States of America. They said investigators will be coming down, and aviation experts and also other experts within the space, within the country and outside the country will be called upon where necessary. I mean, let me start with Doc across me first. I mean, good updates from government. It was a very painful period for the entire nation, but we have to get to the point where we must demand answers just to ensure that we don't have such an incident happening again. Satisfied with the update that has been provided so far?
Yeah, I think we should welcome this development. The report will tell us what the military as an institution needs to do going forward, and and so it's welcome. I think the update also reassures citizens that something is being done to find out what actually happened. There's a little confusion here because we hear that investigations into crashes like this, like we've observed here, take a long time, and I think this expert just said maybe up to a year.
A year, yeah.
We are told that we should expect a report within 30 days. I don't know what they are going to report, but you see, these are technical matters, and I don't want to really to wade into them. What I have to say, I want to say is that we already know that there are certain things that we have to do as a country. I think a simple one is that we know that we need more aircrafts, so that we can have a rigorous maintenance regime. When you have a lot of them, then you can take some of them out of commission and maintain them as needs be. So we need more aircraft, and especially those that are tooled to do the VIP work. I know from what I've heard from experts like Colonel Abuaje, that we need more VIP, more aircraft. If we are going to continue to have our Air Force, ferry around our celebrities and our VIPs, then we need more aircraft. I also think that one of the things that we are finding out is that there is a need for a unified national emergency operation center, or a system that unifies all our emergency responses, under one command when there is an emergency like we've seen, a disaster like we've seen, so that all the response units like NADMO, Fire Service, Social Welfare, Ministry of Health, Ambulance Service, when there is a disaster, there should be a way to coordinate, and then even the local assemblies. We saw what happened when the crash happened, and citizens who thought they were doing their duty as citizens to help out ended up maybe contaminating the site and causing problems for forensic investigations. So we need a holistic national emergency response system, and I'm sure that it will be one of the things that will come out of the investigations. Lastly, I think citizen awareness. I think what happened in what the place called, is it Kofum or no, shows us that we need to educate our citizens. Crash sites, accident sites. I'm told that, you know, in some of our areas, in some areas in this country, when there's an accident, people go in there looking for the watches and
Yeah, I mean,
the wallets, and you know.
Yeah, I've seen one on the motorway. There was was a long vehicle, and there were bottles of beer, and the people they just rushed and grabbed the bottles and were drinking just right there and then.
So and also this obsession with our mobile phones. Sometimes instead of helping out, we are trying to capture, and so that we can go on TikTok, you know. So we really need some education. You know, I've said here before, I think that when we were in school, we had civics, citizen education. You know, I think we need to do something. You know, it relates to what we were talking about earlier. We are educating students for life, not just to pass exams. We need to know, our students, our citizens have to know about what obligations you have as a citizen, your duties as a citizen. You know, so crash sites and things like that need to be part of that educational system. Then media awareness. I think that our media men and women, you know, I think that sometimes there is a competition to be the
first to break the news.
First to break the news and first to reach an angle that the other one hasn't reached. I think we all need education, you know, because what we found out with this crash is that we are not only dealing with planes and mechanical things, and you know, you're also dealing with families, children, you know, mothers, fathers, uncles, who are affected directly, and we all need to be empathetic, and we all need to share in their grief when these things happen. And so the media also needs to come on board and do their part. You know, overall, I think that this sad incident served, in my view, to bring us all together as a nation, to realize that there are certain things we all have to do for the betterment of our country. I'm hoping that we will patiently wait for the report, and when the report comes out, we will be able to implement what the report says, so that we'll have a better Air Force, and then our country will be better off going forward.
And Doc, the point that Prof made on the Zoom had to do with how such investigations take a long time, and we appear to have given them more or less like a 30-day window. I mean, at what point must we balance our desire to want answers to allowing the body perhaps to do the work that they must do thoroughly, especially when, I mean, such incidents gives us the opportunity to look beyond the basic things to have also long-term reforms come through as well.
Joseph, I mean, I am glad that we have got expert opinion in this regard. And of course, you see, what this government should realize is that these are lives of gallant heroes of our country. I mean, Honorable Mutala, may his soul rest in perfect peace, was somebody that I communicated with 2 days before this incident. And he's someone that I respect so much. And we were talking about issues about how to do with galamsey using botany and all that, using some research technology from the Chinese Academy of Sciences. And so, Joseph, there's a lot of conspiracy theory out there fueling what happened. But I believe that the government communication should be in sync with what experts are saying. Now, what I am questioning here, my main concern is that the aircraft, as we know, is a Z9 helicopter manufactured by a Chinese aerospace company. My question is, why aren't the Chinese involved in this investigation? Why are you bringing the Americans? China has equally got advanced technology and a robust investigative body as the Americans. That is my main question, because I quite remember...
That's the part of the statement that says that the board may also invite other relevant experts and institutions, both local and international.
Yes, but my point is that you have stated categorically, and the main subjects in there are the American Air Force. Right? They are not the manufacturers of this helicopter.
Okay.
So I think that they should have engaged the Chinese, brought the Chinese manufacturers. For a fact, do you know that the Ghana Air Force base has got some Chinese aeronautic engineers servicing their aircrafts? Do you know that?
I'm not aware of that.
Yes, I can tell you that, you know, the jets, the fighter jets they use, the trainer jets, for every, I think there's a particular hours that the jet flies, and they have to bring the manufacturers to service it. Yeah. So if we are in this, we have this relationship with the manufacturers, and we have a good diplomatic relationship with China, why don't we get the Chinese involved in this case? Why the Americans? But I am not undermining the competencies of the Americans in the first place. But I believe that if the Chinese were involved, it would have put some more light into what really happened, because it was their aircraft, and I'm sure they have the technology to be able to decode the what do you call it, black box. But on a serious note, Joseph, the Ghana Air Force needs some retooling. I think that it's unfair for some people to try and put blame and even question the competence of those pilots. It is uncalled for. These are highly trained and highly skilled pilots, right? The Ghana Air Force, because the military cannot come out to speak about their problems, sometimes we seated here should be able to voice out, because we have relatives in there. We have friends in there, and we know what they tell us. The Ghana Air Force today, as of now, you know that they have multiple helicopters grounded because of the sanctions placed on Russia. They fly the MiG, MiG helicopter or so. Now they cannot purchase spare parts to use on these helicopters that are grounded because of the sanctions between Russia and America, and the whole war between the Cold War between the two. So I believe that they should come out and let us know what is really happening, right? I believe that, you know, the Ghana Police Service also at a particular point in time had helicopters procured for them. I call them coffin copters, because you cannot procure a 1970s helicopter and come and give to our Ghana Police Service to use under the SWA administration. And it was just for the optics. I'm sure they flew during the independence celebration in the Volta region, held in the Volta region. And then from then, it was grounded. Today, you should ask the Ghana Police Service, where are those helicopters? Why aren't they flying them? And you see, sometimes politicians who enjoy the sole sourcing form of procurement process have been complicit in this act. Because you go and procure things at exorbitant cost to the state and come and give us what we do not deserve when it comes to value for money audit. So I believe that if we're able to retool the Ghana Air Force and even the Ghana Armed Forces, it will go a long way in helping mitigate these issues. Okay. The politics of whether or not we should have a presidential jet has been a debate that people...
Whether we should have a new one.
A new one, yes, a new private jet. I believe that the presidency is a serious office, the leader of the country. And we all ought to do things in a manner in which we can be able to protect that office, the integrity of that office. And so, whether or not the NDC and the MPP are deciding to play politics as to whether there should be a new presidential jet or not, we members of the Movement for Change believe that the presidency is a serious business and that we ought to protect the president. And I want to see some form of procurement processes now going forward, leading into the procurement of a new private presidential jet for our president. Okay. Because the one currently there I hear is not airworthy. Okay. And if we allow our president to fly in that coffin, then I mean, we don't want to have any bad news going forward. Okay. So I believe that the investigation period set by this committee, I don't know what mathematics they have done to come to such a corollary, but I believe that they should communicate further with us to tell us why they have given a 30-day ultimatum for a report to be made public. Okay. And we want to see absolute transparency in this regard, okay, so that we can be able to give our heroes a befitting farewell after the investigation.
Honorable, I realize you had some reaction to some of the points that Doc made earlier.
Yeah, not necessarily a reaction, but this whole accident that occurred, you know, people are still grieving, families are still in pain, and so we will need to be very, very circumspect about the things we say. If there are people out there who are accusing some people in there, we need to desist from it. I don't think anybody will set out to go and kill himself. You know, the pilots also care about their lives and their families. And so such comments and commentary should not be encouraged and tolerated at all around this time. The issue of maybe not allowing the Chinese to lead the investigation and we bringing in the Americans to come and do it, just like asking maybe a judge to go and sit in his own case in a court. They manufacture the aircraft, that you rightly said. Assuming it is a technical problem that resulted in this, and you ask them to be at the forefront of the investigation, are we very certain that they'll put their bare facts out as they are? And that is why it will be prudent that you get another body. And like you rightly pointed out, the statement explicitly stated that they will invite other people to come and assist in whatever investigation they need to do. I can only commend the government and the ministry for this decision that they have taken. Ghanaians want to see a closure. We want to have a closure to this particular issue. I have heard some experts that have come on your show to run some commentaries about this particular whole issue. But now that an investigative board has been set up, we want to allow them to do their work. I am not an expert. I don't have any expertise at all when it comes to aviation and its operations. So let's allow those who have the expertise to tell us exactly what transpired. Except to say that I must not come across as accusing anybody. Prof mentioned, or Doc mentioned a point that is very, very key, our response to emergency situations. Now, if you listen to the time the military put a statement out on that fateful day, that helicopter has left their radar, they cannot find it and all that. The time we got information that crash had taken place, if we're really very proactive, the civilians that moved in to try to assist and all those things could have been prevented. You know, it would have been possible for them to move in very quickly, you know, ward off the whole place, and then they use a better way of rescuing whatever remains that were available, so that all the pictures, all that we saw and all those things could have been avoided. But I don't know why we delayed and allowed civilians to move in there. But I think that is something we all need to drum and talk about more. Okay. This perchance, anytime there's an accident, the first thing people do is to pull out their mobile phones and they want to video, they want to record, they want to be the first to break the news. I think it's something that we need to be very careful about. You know, people's emotions are involved, people's relatives are involved, and so we need to be very careful. Okay. This day you see even a fuel truck involved in an accident, and people move in there, they want to come and collect the fuel, and they don't look at the other side of it. That in case of a spark, any fire, or anything, everybody else could be consumed in the flame. And so we need to be very, very careful. I am a bit not too sure. The expert, the professor I spoke to from America is saying that we will need about a year to do this particular investigation. Per the statement that was issued by the acting Minister of Defense, they've been given a 30 days period to do it. We are not too sure the aspect of it that they will do within the 30 days. But as it may, all we want to know, we want to see is a closure, that this is what exactly happened. That way they call the black box, is that the name?
Yeah.
The black box. I'm sure they will be able to decode. We'll get to know exactly what transpired on board, so that all the speculations and all the things that people are saying, at least we can put everything to rest.
Okay.
We will continue to admonish the family members to remain strong. I think this is the biggest air disaster that this country has suffered ever in our history. It has never happened before, and we don't pray that this ever happen to this country. Whatever we need to do to make sure that doesn't happen, we need to do it. The debate of the presidential jet, it will rage on forever and ever. And I will not accuse him when he blames NDC and NPP for the politics we have done with this plain issue. Go and check back from our history, from the date of Kutu Achiampo. Go and check. You know, when he bought, what I think that was called the Gulf, whatever the name, I've forgotten the name. The things that were said in this country. When George Rollins came to the scene, he bought a Fokker, the things that were said. When he came to President Kufuor, he came to President Mills and John Mahama. And so we can't continue to do this. Maybe what we have not averted our minds to is the cost of a by-election, especially a presidential by-election. It is not a joke. The cost to the state is far more than the cost of any airplane you can buy. This Akotia by-election that they are going to do today, go and check out the money. Because political parties, we don't open our books and tell exactly, we don't even get to know. Because if I move my house and I go to Akotia, who will get to know how much money eventually I will spend in Akotia? Who will know how much you will spend, even as a media house and all that? So I'm saying that nothing is too expensive than protecting the lives of Ghanaians, especially in the embodiment of our nation, the presidency. I think that we need to do everything possible to protect it. Ghana, a beautiful country, a great country. We have gold, we have diamond, we have oil, we have everything that you need to be able to develop. Is it too much for us to have a jet that our president can fly with across the place?
So
no.
What's your stance? That
you see,
you support the procurement because you are in Parliament, and I'm sure this debate has been in Parliament.
I think I've made a point quite clear that it is not too much for us. If we are going to make the argument that until we finish building the last classroom block, we buy the last hospital bed, we fill the last kilometer of road, everybody have potable water to drink before we buy something for a president, then we are never going to do it. Okay. Because when you get to even America, the most advanced country today, some of these social events are still, unfolding on daily basis.
Let me clarify.
So let me conclude by saying that it's a convening we have had, where we have gotten to right now. We need to put the brakes. Okay. We need to get something. How do we get Ghana Airways back? Can we even get our Ghana Airways back, and then we can dedicate maybe a plane and say that this is a presidential plane within the Ghana Airways fleet. Okay. So even the national team is going to play a match, they can go with it. We have any, state delegation going somewhere. We can look at it and then come on something.
Let me clarify a point Honorable made. I think that I'm sure he has already admitted that he's not an aviation expert. We need an aviation expert. But you should realize that anytime there's an air crash, right, the manufacturer is key in supporting the investigation. You will recall the case of Air India. Boeing was called to come and help with the investigation.
I mean, but all the questions...
So my point is legitimate. Okay. Why aren't you calling the Chinese company to be the lead?
They have not said
but the statement should have been that the Chinese manufacturer should have been the lead.
Answers that we may be able to get from above. But the aircraft
if it is language barrier as well, a lot of Ghanaians now
Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau. This is an agency that was set up just in 2020 when we passed Act 1028 to deal with such matters. They have been having an event just this morning, just a short while ago. The Commissioner General has been speaking. Let's take a listen to what he's been saying about what the Bureau is doing with regards to this particular investigation.
We do it professionally, we do it objectively as an autonomous body. But when we do our investigation, we do it thoroughly, but we are also mindful of the incident or accident victims and their families. Ladies and gentlemen, as Commissioner, I wish to ensure the stakeholders and all Ghanaians that AIB Ghana will continue to uphold the highest standards of integrity professionalism, independence in serving Mother Ghana. Today, as I keep on saying, our job here is to investigate. You see, when you go out, you meet people, they say, oh, you people will continue praying that you don't have a job to do, because how many times would an accident happen, aircraft accident happen? But we are here today to educate and also to inform the general public that it is because of the job that we do in prevention. That is why we don't, or the Ghanaians or the public does not see the accident coming. We do a lot of background work. Our work, just like somebody told me the other day, you see, people always say that the end justifies the means, but in aviation or in our investigation, what we do is that we follow protocols. We do what we call show working. We are under strict instruction of International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, and we use their standards in doing our investigation. We don't wait until accidents happen. What we do is that we have our manuals. My investigators, we develop manuals, we develop protocols, and we follow these protocols and manuals in doing investigation and in prevention. And so because we prevent a lot, you wouldn't have any occurrences. And that is why most of the time we don't see any occurrences in Ghana. Thank you very much for coming. An accident occurs and we go ahead to do our investigations. After the investigation, we do recommendations, and these recommendations, as I said, are not to apportion blames or for any criminal liabilities. We do that so that we correct, so that we don't have any future occurrences. And that is why you don't often see aircraft accidents. They are flying every minute in Ghana.
So that's John Wumboti. He is the Acting Commissioner of the Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau, speaking on the work that they do at the agency and their role in this particular investigation that is taking place. That is all time will allow us for this morning. My guests have been Dr. Josiah Koba, a legal practitioner, former principal lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. Dr. Ramsey Inusa, communications team member, Movement for Change. We're also joined by Fred Agbenyo, the MP for the Guan constituency. Professor Kwesi Ajekoma, an aviation accident investigator and lecturer at the Aerospace Sciences University of North Dakota, also joined us. There's a lot more to bring up to you on New Day right here on TV3. Stay tuned in.
How may I help you today?
We'd like to open a bank account.
Sign here, sign here, sign here, and here. And now you draw direction to your house. I need your thumbprint. And I'll need your birth certificate too. No, I need the original.
A lot has changed since you banked like this. So have we. We've made it easier than ever to open an account online and bank on the go through our mobile app, online banking, and more. EcoBank, a better way to bank your way.
Sign here, and here.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
All right, listen up. Colgate is on a mission.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate Science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
New Colgate Herbal with Salt combines traditional nature's herbs with a pinch of salt and Colgate Science. A natural recipe for strong teeth and healthy gums.
Bay Crystal Original. Get a pen you can rely on.
The Nido or Batampa promo is back again. Yes, here's your chance to win a fully paid family getaway in Nido's or Batampa More promo. Look inside your Nido 23-gram promo sachet for a code. Dial *380*11# on your phone's keypad and follow the prompts to win exciting prizes at Dipashimu. Nido, your love, their future. This advert is FDA approved. This promo is regulated on the Caritas Lottery platform. T's and C's apply.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in